When we have the urge to spring clean, is it just about making the house cleaner, or could it have a deeper semblance of something that's going on energetically inside of us? Let's dig in. Welcome to Star Potential, a podcast where we explore the meaning of our existence while having a few laughs and sometimes tears through stories from the road of life. I'm your host, Julie Jo Hughes. As a stage performer, my life is quite literally about song and dance. I believe that life here on Earth is a playground for discovery, not a contest to be won. We ask questions together like, how do I evolve my consciousness? And how do you sing a passionate ballad when there's an old guy in the front row with his balls showing? True story. Stick around for these fun conversations. Welcome back to Star Potential. I'm your host, Julie Jo. One thing we've mentioned several times already on the Star Potential podcast is about when we're looking to improve or deepen our spirituality, our understanding of ourself, the nature of who we are, and getting more in touch with the highest version of ourselves. A lot of times it's not about adding things, but rather it's subtracting or taking things away, peeling back the layers of the onion to discover who we truly are at our core. There are a lot of practices, either yogic practices or spiritual practices that incorporate the idea of self-inquiry, asking yourself things like, who am I? And whatever is coming up in your thoughts, I am not that. I am not that. And by going through this process, we're stripping away all these labels and titles and limiting things that we think ourselves to be, these identifications that we've taken on, these roles that we play, that we mistaken ourselves to be. But in spirituality, we learn that we are something much deeper than that. And it is often hard to limit that to words, to an understanding of what we truly are. And so sometimes if it feels like we're talking about certain subjects with a certain amount of vagueness, that is because there are a lot of principles of spirituality that can't truly be described with words. They really must be experienced and felt. Once you've felt those things, you truly have a working understanding of what you are. And sometimes that can be hard to convey to others, but we do our best here to use the limited vocabulary that we have from a 3D and physical understanding of these experiences and these pieces of, I don't even know if we can call them knowledge that we acquire. It's more like embodiment of understanding rather than it is knowledge. But as we are stripping these things away, we're often talking about kind of philosophical labels or something not necessarily tangible. And what I would like to talk to you about today is something very tangible, and that is your stuff. Your stuff carries a lot of energy. It takes up a lot of energy. Everything in our world is vibration and different varying densities of light. And this is how we perceive things. It literally, matter is energy that we're able to perceive, right? It's the denseness of the light that allows us to perceive different things. And so the stuff that is in our homes, in our garages, in our driveway, that stuff all carries its own energetic load. And that energetic load is affecting us inside our brain as well. It's affecting us energetically because we are energy as well. So you might have heard of the Marie Kondo method. And when I read Marie Kondo's book, it did help introduce me to the idea of minimalism. This is something that I read many years ago, long before I had really started into a deep dive in spirituality or before any kind of awakening, I always have been a seeker, and I'm always seeking to understand how things work in relation to each other in our world. And I was always fascinated by this idea of how our energy affects each other. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, that as a performer, energy is not something anyone could convince me doesn't exist. It's something that I feel the difference in when I am on stage. It makes a huge difference. The energy that the crowd is carrying, the energy that I am performing with, the crowd will receive it differently based on how I am presenting it, what's kind of coming behind, what is behind the energy that I'm presenting. And when that energy is reflected back at me, it also affects my performance. And of course, as a performer, you're always trying to find the ways that you can protect your own energy, that you can give the same show no matter what the audience is giving you back. But there's a palpable exchange that's happening, definitely with live performance. And so this is a feeling that I'm very familiar with, is this energetic exchange that happens between people. And so I became to be fascinated with the energetic exchange with stuff as well, the stuff that's around us, not just the people, right? So do inanimate objects carry energy? They absolutely do. So I began decluttering, and then I started following a bunch of people that were proclaimed experts in minimalism. And it's not that I would have ever labeled myself as a minimalist necessarily, but there were many principles from it that I definitely looked to inform different things that I wanted to try that would help me to let go of certain things. Because when we cling to our stuff, there are often energetic blockages there. There's something that we believe the stuff is doing for us instead of really claiming that ownership on our own. So with the Marie Kondo method, when they have you go through your closet and go through your home and decide whether or not to keep something, the question that you ask yourself is, does this bring me joy? And I'm paraphrasing. Something like, does this item bring me joy? And if the answer is no, that's one of the things that helps you make the decision that you don't need this thing anymore. It's not bringing you joy. And so I would like to kind of flip this on its head and say, when you look at your stuff and you're making a decision of, do I want to buy this, or do I want to keep hanging on to this? Does this need to keep taking up space in my closet, in my mind space, in my home? Is it helping me maintain my peace? Or is it somehow blocking or taking up energy that is causing me some kind of unrest, or the opposite of peace? Is it causing me some kind of stress? Is it causing me some kind of anxiety? Because a lot of times, big piles of papers that I have, big piles of clothing that I haven't worn in months or maybe over a year, those tend to be accumulations of unmade decisions. And so those aren't necessarily things I'm hanging on to because they bring me joy or that they help me maintain peace, but because I can't decide what I want to do with them. Or maybe I think I used to wear that. I haven't been wearing those kinds of things lately. Or sometimes it's, I haven't been wearing that size lately, right? Or that type of clothing. I haven't been wearing midriffs for a while, but you never know. I may want to again. I may get super buff abs and decide I want to start sporting those midriffs again, right? We cling to these ideas of possibility. Well, I might wear that again. I might one day wish I had that dish. I might one day say, oh, I used to have a thing that really helped me with that and I don't have it. What I have learned over the years, and a lot of times this was because I moved fairly often as an adult. When we are moving fairly often, it becomes, I am paying for every single box that I'm taking with me. Am I willing to pay money to move this item with me to my next residence? A lot of times that was the decision maker for me. It's like, no, I'm not willing to pay for another $50 box or whatever just so I can take all this junk that I haven't used for 2 years already. So often it was easy for me to make the decision to let something go because if I truly, truly need that again in the future, I will get it again in the future. Now, I'm also a person that loves to upcycle and I hate to waste stuff. So that doesn't mean that I just purchase and throw away disposable things all the time either. But it does mean that it made me more intentional with my purchases going forward. Are the things that maybe I could rent sometimes instead of owning? Are there times when I could utilize something I already have and repurpose it in a different way instead of buying a whole separate thing that I'm going to use once every 10 years? So as you start to move into new versions of yourself, which is what happens a lot of times as we're doing self-study, like we're talking about here on Star Potential all the time, you have cravings to get rid of pieces of the old you because you are becoming a different person. And so when we hang on to whole wardrobes of clothing that no longer reflect who we are, it's keeping us stuck in between. And so even though there might be some awesome pieces that you had at one time, could you maybe rehome them to someone who really needs them or someone who would get a lot of good out of those rather than just taking up space in your closet? And maybe would it bring you joy to find some different piece? Maybe you let yourself go shopping for a different piece that really reflects who you are now in this time. I've learned that it doesn't serve me to hang on to all the stuff that represents all the past versions of myself. I just don't need the stuff for me to hang on to the feelings that I had when I was those versions of myself. I think sometimes we fear that if we throw away certain pieces of clothing or certain mementos that we had from different journeys, that means we're throwing away that memory. But does it mean that for you? It's like going to the zoo and taking hundreds of pictures of the animals, but not actually experiencing the animals while you're at the zoo. Do you ever go back and look at all the pictures you took of the zoo animals? I know I don't. I would rather go to the zoo, be fully present, experience those animals, and not take a single picture. And then the next time I do go back to the zoo, even if that's years later, I get to truly enjoy that experience with the animals. And it doesn't have to be the zoo. It could be a million other experiences, right? But I think so many times we're so attached to documenting and hanging on to pieces of our old experiences that we're actually missing out on the experiences themselves. If we could let go of that, how could you more fully step into the present and truly experience the life that is unfolding right in front of you? And then the next day, fully experience the day that is unfolding in front of you then. As we move forward into different versions of ourselves, there are a few questions you can meditate upon or journal upon that I think will help you. Number one, what can I let go of in order to move forward? 2, where am I trying to control something when I could just surrender it? 3, as you're hanging on to that stuff and you're making the decision of whether you should keep it or whether it should go, should I stay or should I go now? Ask yourself, does this help me maintain my peace? I would love to hear how this process helps you reflect upon the stuff in your life. You know, as women, when we are expecting a new baby, this maternal instinct kicks in called nesting, and animals in the wild do this as well, of course, right? We begin to prepare the space for the new baby. And I think that as we move into new versions of ourselves, it is just as important to nest for the arrival of the next version of ourself. That means clearing out the stuff that is no longer serving us with who we currently are. It means making space for the new to be ushered in that can more fully and directly support who we are becoming. I shouldn't even say becoming, who we are uncovering, who we are discovering under all these layers of stuff that we thought was us. Right? So don't be afraid to let go of a piece of matter. Don't be afraid to let go of material things that you think represent you, because that's not you. Those are little energetic pieces that we hang on to cling to certain memories. Now, I'm not asking you to clear out something that truly brings you a sense of connection to maybe a loved one who's no longer physically in your life. You definitely are the only one that can decide for yourself if it's something that you're clinging to or if it does help you maintain peace, because it helps you maintain connection to that loved one. So only you can decide what's right for you to hang on to and what you might be ready to let go of. But I hope that this helps you move into the current version of yourself that you are uncovering. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning into Star Potential with Julie Jo Hughes. If this episode resonates with you, I invite you to take 2 seconds, scroll down and click 5 stars on the rating. It's a fast and easy way to help the show gain exposure and momentum. If you're loving the show, I invite you to leave a quick review about what you love. Reviews are like gold to podcasters. And to show my gratitude, you'll be entered to win my monthly giveaway when you send me a screenshot of your review. I also made you a gift. It's a 9-minute simple gratitude meditation with singing to help you practice mindfulness. Just visit me on Instagram at @thejuliejo or find the link in the show notes. Thank you for your love and support. Until next time, keep shining your light. And that's a wrap.